So last night, I'm driving south. I'm driving home from San Francisco. I'm going down the 280 and it's nighttime, it's late, it's probably midnight, not a lot of traffic. I'm in the fast track lane, which is open to all. And I'm going fast, you know, and out of nowhere, this white Honda Civic comes up on my right hand side and nearly crashes into me. Then I guess I honked. That's right, I honked. So I see this white Honda Civic come up and he starts merging right into me. And so I honked my horn. And he heard me honk the horn. I'd already hit my brakes to back off. So he's in front of me and he's probably 4 or 5 feet into the lane I'm in, and then he swerves back in to the next lane to my right. And obviously this freaked me out because if I hadn't hit my brakes, he would have hit me. And I could have died. Car accidents kill a lot of people. So what did I do? I called 911. I call 911 a lot. I call 911 probably 3 or 4 times a year minimum to report stuff because I work for a living. I'm a taxpayer. I'm an American, and part of my tax dollars fund the communities that I'm in, and that includes the police force and public order. And so it's my duty as an American citizen and a community member to put my tax dollars to work in the form of the police that I fund through my tax dollars to clean up stuff that I see that they're not there for to witness, like drunk drivers and, well, a lot of drunk drivers. I'm going to tell a few stories. So anyway, last night I called 911 and I get put on hold. I get put on hold for, 30 seconds to a minute. So while I'm put on hold, I put the brakes on, I slow down a bit, and I let this guy go off a few hundred feet into the distance, and I just kind of trail him because I'm mad. This guy could have killed me. He might kill someone else. I feel like it's my duty to report him to the police, report a drunk driver to the police. I mean, there's a ton of signs on the freeway that even say, report drunk drivers. So I don't really consider myself a snitch when the person could kill me or someone else. Drunk drivers kill people all the time. Every time I go on 101, there's a sign saying DUIs aren't worth it, don't drink and drive. So if anyone wants to call me a snitch, I think in this context, it's not being a snitch. Drunk drivers are a humongous problem. They've always been. But getting off of the moral tirade. So I'm on hold for about 30 seconds to a minute when I finally get taken off of hold, and they ask me where I'm calling from. I tell them it's somewhere on 280 over by SF. They say, oh, we'll forward you to the CHP in that area. And then click, they put me back on hold. So then, for the next 4 minutes, and I'll post a screenshot of my call log to prove it. It's going to say 911, 5 minutes and I think 40-something seconds. But for the next 4 minutes, there I am on hold. Please do not hang up. All our operators are busy. Please do not hang. And then it would repeat in Spanish. And so for 4 minutes, it's just saying, please do not hang up. All our operators are busy. And then it repeats in Spanish, ad nauseum. So I'm trailing the guy. Okay, finally, we're almost 5 minutes into the call. It's like 4 minutes and 55 seconds or something. I don't know. Like 5 minutes into the call. And the CHP officer picks up the phone. I say, hi, yes, I'm reporting a drunk driver. They're driving a white Honda Civic sedan. This is the license plate number. This is the exit I am on at currently. Oh, they're getting off at the junction to 101 South. It was like somewhere over by Burlingame or past south of Burlingame. I can't recall. Point is, I trailed this guy for 5 minutes while I was on hold with 911, and it took them 5 minutes and almost 6 minutes, like 5 minutes and 40 seconds, from the time I called 911 to the time that I had reported it and essentially passed the buck over to the police. It's their job. By the time I had successfully transferred the duty or whatever over to the police and let them be aware of the situation, almost 6 minutes. Okay, let me ask you, have you ever called 911 before? I've asked friends. A lot of my friends have never really called 911. You should make it a habit, because if you pay taxes, you're funding the police. And even if you don't pay taxes, you want to live in a nice community. You depend on the police cleaning up crime, but they can't be everywhere all the time. There's something like 2 cops for all of 101 from, I think, like Morgan Hill to SF, like something ridiculous. There's no police because reasons. Reasons are why we don't have a lot of police. They just can't be everywhere all the time. And so if you see something wrong, call 911. They want you to. That's one of the things people are supposed to do. When you see something that's really wrong, you call 911. And then the policemen, they at least know about it and they can triage. Okay, so last night I was on hold for 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes, and I did eventually successfully report the drunk driver, so hooray! But this wasn't the first time that I've been put on hold when I called 911. Actually, every time that I've called 911, I've been put on hold. Every single time that I've ever called 911, and I've called 911 probably at least 10 times in the last decade. I'm just going to tell a few notable stories about times that I've called 911 and I was put on hold. So there was this year where I called 911 for a drunk driver that nearly smashed into me going 65 plus on the freeway, and it took almost 6 minutes before I was able to get through to a policeman. Dispatch really. Earlier this year, I was coming back from a mountain bike ride, and I witnessed a man dressed in all black, including a beanie and a baklava, trying to break into an auto body shop. Very suspicious. I mean, he had a crowbar and he was trying to break in. So I pulled up my watch and I said hey, I'm not going to say it because it's going to perk up, but hey, whatever, call 911. Oh, it's doing it. I don't want it to do that, but call the number, nuevo uno uno, right? And it did. So then I'm on my mountain bike. I've just ridden 8 miles up a mountain or whatever, and I'm talking into my watch. Oh, yes, I'm on this street. My name is, there's a burglar. He's trying to break into this shop. It's on this street. The shop name is... But here's the thing. It took them a minute and a half. So from the time that I saw the burglar and lifted up my phone, my Apple Watch, which is cellular, so it functions as a phone, and I dialed the number, it took a minute and a half of being on hold before I was actually able to get through to the police, and they were able to do something about it. And they weren't out there for like at least 15 minutes, because I came home, I showered off, I put on a bunch of clothing, I left in my car. I just so happened to leave the way that was where the burglar was, and there I saw the cops had just gotten there, and it had been like 15 or 20 minutes. Okay, here's another time I called 911 and it was put on hold. I was driving in a residential area, I'm not going to say where, but like in a suburb, and a drunk driver almost hit me, going way too fast and swerving all over the place. Immediately I recognized, hey, this is a drunk driver. So I called 911, and I was put on hold for, I think, 2 minutes. This was a year ago. I was put on hold for 2 minutes, and then when I was picked up, they said, oh yes, this county doesn't have a dedicated police department. We're going to forward you to the regional police. And then I was put on hold another minute. And when I finally got off of the hold for the second time, something like 3 minutes had elapsed. I'd long lost sight of the driver. I forgot the license plate because I was bamboozled. And so not much came of it. I don't know if they caught the person. One more time that I was put on hold. This was 5 or 6 years ago. I was home alone at my parents' house, and there were these men circling the block in a truck going very slowly. And they stopped in front of my house, and I was playing video games with a headset on, and the dog starts barking. And dog barks all the time, I think. Whatever. Keeps barking. I go, shut up! Or something, I wanted to play my League of Legends, and League of Legends makes you really mad. Dog keeps barking, so I say, okay. So I take off my headset, I walk to the front of the house, I see my dog, I'm like, okay, let's see what you're barking at. And there's a truck with several men just stopped in the road in front of my house, with one of them, it's got his foot out the door, but he's not parked. He's in the center of the road, and he's just got his foot out the door. And they're all looking at my house. So immediately, I just freak out because that's weird. The community that my parents live in, that never happens. People, you don't see cars like that. You don't see, that's just not normal. I'm gonna leave it at that. So I throw on some clothes, and I go out the front door, and I go onto the sidewalk, and the men are still there, dog's still barking, and I say, "Hey, can I help you with anything?" And they say, "Oh, we heard your truck was for sale." I said, "Nope, never put it for sale." "Oh, guess we must have got the wrong house. Bye." So they get back, foot goes back in the car, and they drive off. Except that when they drive off extremely slowly, like 2 miles an hour slowly, like walking speed slowly. So I was already super, super suspicious because the whole time that my dog had been barking, these people were in front of the house. So they had been sitting, like, essentially they'd been casing my house, like casing the joint for at least 60 seconds before I went and saw them. And then they were there for another 20 or 30 seconds while I put on clothing. So they were casing my house for like 90 seconds at least. And so they slowly drive away, and the bushes are blocking the view. So I walk down the driveway, and I look around the bush, and there they are, just slowly driving down my block. And so I was like, okay, these guys are thieves. They're burglars. They're looking for a house to burgle, because my whole block at the time, we'd had a rash of burglaries, and a neighborhood watch was put together, which I don't know how effective that was. But so, I was younger, and I'm a man, so testosterone took over, and I thought, I'm gonna catch the bad guys, So I ran back inside, I put on my shoes, I got my car keys, I got my car, and I called 911 while I was getting into the car, and I was put on hold, like always, and I saw them just disappear around the corner, so I sped, and I got around the corner, and there they were, still going real slow, just so slow, like 2 miles per hour slow, and my glasses needed to be updated, so I couldn't read the license plate, so I got real close behind them so I could read the license plate, and that spooked them, and they sped off. And then finally, 911 picks up after 30 seconds of being on hold, and I tell them, and they say, "Sir, never do that. You put yourself in danger. They could have, attacked you or something." I don't remember what they said, but they said not to do that, not to put myself in danger. Okay, you know what? If no one ever puts themselves in danger, if no one ever tries to get the license plate of criminals, then the criminals are just going to go unchecked. Like, we can't just expect to live in a world where no one does anything to intervene, but the bad guys just magically get apprehended by the police all the time. Like, if I didn't call 911 last night when I got nearly hit by the drunk driver, ain't no one was going to call 911 and report that drunk driver. And the same thing for when I was driving in the residential area, and the other stories that I told. If you become the victim of somebody else's irresponsibility, then it's your responsibility to make sure it doesn't happen to somebody else. In fact, recently, my hospital had a total screw up with their internal customer patient communications system, and because of it, I suffered long-lasting shoulder issues, which I still have, and I hired a physical therapist trainer to rehabilitate my shoulder. But at first I didn't want to complain because I thought, whatever. But then I thought about it, and I thought, you know what? What happened to me? It's not so bad. I'm a young guy, not that young, but I'm fit. It's fine. But what if somebody had something life-threatening or time-intense, like the time that I got my fingertip chopped off? If I received world-grade first-class medical treatment, my thumb might not be the way that it is today. There's definitely tiers of healthcare, that's for sure. But I thought, what if somebody was suffering from some intense, life-threatening, time-sensitive ailment, injury, disease, whatever, and the hospital made the same communication screw-ups as they did with me for my non-life-threatening just shoulder injury. Well, that could cost someone their life or cause injuries to them that last for the rest of their lives. Stutter health. So I called and complained, and it went to the voicemail. So I told everyone at the hospital the story, and then I called and complained, and it went to voicemail again. And then finally, like 3 months later, I called and I got through to somebody, and I told them all of my complaints. And you know, it's nice to just have someone actually hear what you're saying, even if they're gonna, you know, tell you to shove sand in the end. But that was a rant. But the point is if you've never called 911 before, consider it. Consider making it a habit. When you see something, say something. I mean, how many times has that been a slogan? I guess it's a war slogan or something. But I'm always proud of myself when I report a drunk driver or I see some trash on the freeway. People can die from trash on the freeway because someone will see trash on the freeway and they'll swerve out of the way. They might hit somebody. Or maybe there's trash on the freeway and you don't swerve out of the way until the last minute. Maybe someone's tailgating you or they're right behind you. They're not going to see it in time and they're going to smash into the trash on the freeway going 65 plus miles per hour and they'll die. People die from trash on the freeway. I call 911 to report trash on the freeway. So I don't know what the point of this video is. I'm just mad. I'm mad about the lack of police. If we had more police, then we wouldn't have these on hold times. They wouldn't be so bad. But furthermore, whatever your beliefs are, just know that I'm a real person who has been living in my area in America for quite some time, and I have called 911 multiple times. Real person, me, real person. I have called 911 plenty of times to report situations like I just described: drunk drivers, burglar, multiple burglars actually. There was the burglar trying to break into the auto shop, and then the burglar trying to break into my house. Just drunk drivers, burglars, trash in the road. I probably reported a fire. I've called 911 for these time-sensitive, potentially life-threatening situations plenty of times, and every time I get put on hold from anywhere from 30 seconds to yesterday was about 4 minutes. So if you think you can depend on the police, you can't. You can't depend on the police. You have to depend on yourself. What does that mean? I don't know. Interpret it how you will. But like the Boy Scouts say, be prepared. And like I say, call 911.